What's up, guys? This is Rod here for the Team Fantasy Football League Commissioner Cody. We're here with your Week 13 recap and power rankings. Our final week of the season. Who slid in the playoffs? Who fell out? Did somebody fall out? Stay tuned to find out. As always, starting with Scott, our defending champion. Last week's power rankings number 9 versus Cody number 3 on that power rankings. Scott's top three. Scott puts up 169.24 points. Cody puts up a stronger than usual 189.28 points. A little bit disappointing, by the way, given what he could have done. But looking at Scott's top three performers, we have Derek Carr 42.84, James Robinson 27.3 points, and Zeke with 18 points. Finally making himself known a little bit again. Looking at Cody's top three performers, Darren Waller, the baller, 46 points. Shout out Darren Waller. Taysom Hill with 33.18 points, and Chris Carson with 23.25 points back from injuries. So nice to have you back, sir. Thank you for being a wonderful running back on my fantasy team in multiple leagues. Yeah, like I said, when I go through these top three performers instead of going into the in-depth recaps, it kind of just tells you, a little bit more consistency, and, the stronger, performers. Scott is scary. Okay, I'm very happy to have beaten Scott. The only thing I will say is this is only the regular season. So, you can say this is a revenge game, but the revenge game won't happen until I see him in the championship, I believe. Assuming we both make it that far. I think we're both on that side of the bracket where, I'm not sure. We'll get into that in the next video, which will happen here pretty soon, regarding playoffs and, previews, obviously. So shout out to Scott for finally getting him, his team's getting healthier. And, this is the time where he just got himself a nice warm-up week. Wait till next week. I bet you he puts up a minimum 180. Or it could be way wrong. We'll know next week. But I would put my money on Scott, coming back. So watch out for Scott, guys. Moving on. We have Ohftt, number 8 on the last week's power rankings, against Eric, number 4 on last week's power rankings. And Ohftt steals this with 150.78 points over Eric's 146.99 points. If I'm not mistaken, this went all the way to Tuesday, I think. Yeah, with J.K. Dobbins. Put him over the hill. Eric with a disappointing loss. We'll get more into that momentarily. I thought Eric would win this matchup. Shout out to Ohftt. You got the dub there. Respect. But you did only put up 150 points, so I would worry about that moving forward. But like I said, top 3 performers for Ohftt: Jared Goff, 36.24 points. He's hit or miss, very inconsistent, kind of frustrating. Aaron Jones, 30.55 points. Stephon Diggs, 19.2 points. Just a solid top 3 core. It's kind of scary when it goes from 30 to 19, but he had the consistency to do it. So, shout out to Ohftt for getting the dub this week. Eric's top 3 performers, Josh Allen, 46.6, Cam Newton, 29.26, Wayne Gallman, 18.5. You kind of look at this one the same exact way and why Eric lost, without looking actually at the details. This is just me looking at the top 3 and looking at the score, Eric's team just fell apart after 46 points from Josh Allen, which is unfortunate. I just watch out for Ohftt. He can get hot. He did what he needed to get to the playoffs. He has some game changers on his team. Shout out to Ohftt for the dub. Eric, bummer, man. Moving on. We have number 5, Liam, versus number 2, Greg. Liam, 157.8 points, versus Greg, week high, 217.94 points. Here we go. Only 5 minutes this week. The record, I think, is 12 minutes for Jans. But yeah, Greg with a solid outing again. Jesus, they stole the division. They took my division from me. So that's awesome. I'm so happy. Actually, I don't even like Reebok, and it might even get renamed next year to Puma, because Puma's above Reebok, so, we'll get there. But, I just like to say that I won the division. There's nothing great about it. I just like to say that I won the division. Liam's top 3 performers, Matthew Stafford, 37.68 points, Ryan Tannehill, 37.06, and Cooper Kupp with 15.3, and that tells me that his team just fell off after the 37 points from both of his quarterbacks. To get roughly 80 points, give or take, probably take 75, whatever, points between both your quarterbacks, I mean, that's kind of a big deal. And to get no help from them from everybody else after that, that's tough. I know Derrick Henry really shit the bed for you. Not that he's on this list. I have him in the league, so I know. Yeah, man. Unfortunate week for you to play Greg. And Greg, what a hot streak you're on. Dalvin Cook, 32.9, Kirk Cousins, 30.55, and Justin Jefferson, 28.55. Literally the Minnesota Vikings offense, minus Adam Thielen. It's sickening how good they are. Hopefully they don't, make any mistakes. Not mistakes. Their players don't underachieve for them, because I feel like they're overachieving a bit. But respect to them and their team. Rightfully deserved the number, I don't know, seed. We'll get into that in the next video in the playoffs. Moving on, shout out to them. Moving on, we have number 6 Will versus number 1 Phil. What was looked at as a matchup of the week because of how good these teams could be, one of which is limping to the finish line. Will puts up 166.52 points to Phil's 208.47 points. One of these days I'm going to learn how to edit so you won't have to see the yawns. I can retake it. But no. Phil's team just, does what Phil's team does. I tell you guys to watch the fuck out, and here he is. And he left Jamison Crowder on his bench, but he had 2 touchdowns. So, look at Will's team, 35.1 from Devontae Adams. Lamar Jackson finally shows up with 34.53. And then you get Kyler Murray with 25.35. And those are solid top 3. And then everybody else just falls apart. It's pretty much what that tells me. With the score, his top 3 performers were solid. When you look at a guy like Phil's team with 208.47 points, and he has Corey Davis 36.2, Aaron Rodgers 33.2, David Montgomery 31.35, and he put up 200 points. That means everybody else consistently did what they were supposed to do this week. And also I want to shout out to Greg. Their lowest point total was 12 on their team this week. It was crazy. Everybody had double digits, so shout out to them. And I haven't looked at Phil's, but Phil might have had that too. I haven't looked, like I said, so I don't know for sure. But, shout out to Phil for being a fucking powerhouse this year. Just airing out his Johnson. Everybody's just staring at his Johnson. 11-2. I just want to shout out Phil for the best record of the league, tying the best record in history. It's a 4-way tie in the history books that I just put together for the league. I'll do a video to talk about the history books. My league members were curious, and I said, hey, I'll do that too at some point. At some point is the key there. Moving on, shout out to Phil. Much love, well-deserved. Let's hope you don't disappoint in the playoffs. Because I've seen it happen multiple times last year, and Neil did it as well. Neil was 11-2, so watch out. He was upset that I didn't pay most points or best record or whatever, and I was like, you gotta win something. Don't matter. And it doesn't. So shout out to Phil. Good luck going forward. You're gonna need it because you definitely have a target on your back, even though I've already beaten you, and I'll end up having to beat you again in order to make the championship. So most likely, no disrespect. I don't even know who the AC is. Oh, Kyle. Good luck, Kyle. Like I said, we'll get into that as well. I'm just kind of rambling at this point. Lots of thoughts going through my head. Moving on to let's see here. We have number 11 Brandwagon versus number 10 Dylan last week. Brandwagon with a strong outing, 161.55 points to Dylan's 106.39, which is an overachievement compared to last week. So shout out to Dylan. I'm happy to see that you're hitting 100 again. Actually, I don't even know if that was last week. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of rambling, like I said. Brandwagon, Big Ben, 31.35 points. Jonathan Taylor, 25.75 points. Adam Thielen with 21.5. Just an unfortunate week to, finally get a win when you didn't really need it. It doesn't really matter at this point. And like I said, next year, I'm going to have something for, to keep teams involved. To be determined. Moving on, we'll shout out to Brandwagon for the dub. Oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to move on from Dylan's top 3 performers. Deontay Johnson, Michael Thomas, who's finally showing up, so I'm just happy that he's, playing football and doing well at it, no matter who's at quarterback. And Mike Glennon with 18.45 points. So, those were his top 3 performers. It's just unfortunate that it only equipped to 106 points. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. Moving on to our final matchup of the week, and this was not very close, unfortunately. Kyle ends up dominating. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Number 12, Craig, versus number 7, Kyle. Craig puts up 104.7 points to Kyle's 205.77 points. Now, that is important because Eric lost. That means that because Kyle won, Kyle slides into that A spot. Kyle is pulling a Cody from last year, and I just want you guys to watch out. We'll get into that in a second. Apologies, I keep getting ahead of myself. I'm rambling. Craig's top 3 performers, Tua with 24.09 points, Jarvis Landry with 20.74, and the Steelers defense with 12.1 points. No shocker to see the Steelers on his top 3 performers. It is kind of unfortunate that they only had 12 points and overachieved over everybody else on his team. Just unfortunate, but I like, I hope to see Tua better next year to be a decent keeper for you. Looking over at Kyle's team, Baker Mayfield, 47.36 points, Cole Beasley, 29 points, and Phil Rivers with 27.2 points. I'm just not, I think that Kyle is in a position to make a run like I did last year, and that would include defeating Phil, which doesn't seem likely, like I didn't seem likely to beat Will last year, and then beating the winner of me versus whoever I play. I looked, but Jesus, I don't remember. And we'll get into that in the next video, which will happen shortly. But yeah, shout out to Kyle for making an unseen run. And I just want to say that I was wrong, Kyle. I can't believe that you did it. You made it to the next round of play. No longer around Robin. Shout out to you. I'm happy for you. It's nice to see the 2 new league members in the playoffs this year. And like I said, we'll get into that. But I just want to say, welcome, Hobert and Kyle. Just shout out to you guys for putting together strong teams to put yourself in playoff position. So shout out to you guys. Again, shout out to Phil for the top record this year. And I will say that if I could click stuff. One more shout out just because, if I'm going to shout out most wins. Wow. I'm going to shout out Will. Shout out Will. 2,462.55 points. Outscoring Phil by just under 3 points. Wow, Phil put up 24.94, so he was just just a little bit under, um, less than 3 points. That's really close. Shout out to Will for overcoming a lot of injuries and stuff and still leading himself. Um, and shout out to Scott as well, our back-to-back champion. Um, he did play the most points this year. Looking at the stats now, so this is just an end of season congratulations, shout out stuff. Back-to-back champion, obviously defending champion, deserves shout out. But for overcoming a lot of the odds, he put up 2,200 points and faced the most points that anybody else faced in the league, only by just under 3 points. But still, the point, you understand what I'm saying. So shout out to Scott for overcoming all that stuff and still sliding into the playoffs here. Not where you wanted to. You ended up losing the lead, but that's still dope that you overcame it. So shout out to you, and shout out to everybody for making this a successful season. Moving on, we are in playoff teams. Now we have our final power rankings. I'm not going to do power rankings after this just because we're focused on playoffs. So I'm going to do like in-depth recaps. I'm going to do in-depth previews just to replay. I mean, the previews will be the same, obviously, but just to replace some of the time in the preview videos from the power rankings, I'm gonna actually look at it. And I don't want to be half-assing the audience. However many of you are still watching this, with a quick here's the top 3, but this is playoff time. You know what I mean? People like the playoffs, so we're gonna do that. So final power ranking. Again, I hope to have something in place to just plug numbers in and give me a list. So, we'll figure that out in the future. So number 12, we have Craig put up the least amount of points of the 4 non-playoff teams. So you're at 12. Dylan, second least amount of points as far as the playoff teams. You're 11. Eric, you're at 10 because your team just disappointed that badly. And you put up the third least amount of points of the, or the second least amount of, second most points, of the non-playoff teams. And then Brandwagon sliding up into number 9 with a dub, with the most points of non-playoff teams. So shout out to you guys, just for being in the league. I love you guys. We're all friends. You're all brothers to me. So I'm just shouting you guys out because I love y'all. Continuing on to our playoff top 8. This is not ranked in the standings. This is just back to the power rankings as usual for these guys. Liam, number 8, I just feel like he's limping his way into the playoffs. He just hasn't put up a strong outing like he was. At least that we were accustomed to anyway, or I was accustomed to. And I've just seen some vulnerabilities on his team. So, I just worry about that, and I have him down at 8 there. And he did get a loss this week. Hobert up at 7. You did get the win. You did kick Eric out of the playoffs, so shout out to you. And like I said, shout out to you for your first year in the league, making the playoffs. But you only slid up 1. I know you got the dub, but, you only put up 150 points. So, I do worry about that. But I know how your team can hit, so we'll see how that goes. Moving on to Scott, number 6. Finally getting yourself healthy. This was kind of like a tie between Scott and Will at 5 and 6. Will's at 5. I don't know why I did it that way. I just kind of did. They both put up decent points to get themselves prepared to put up a strong run in the playoffs. So I just felt like, they did 5 and 5B. 5A and 5B, but 5 and 6, Will Scott. 4, Kyle sliding up in the top 4 with a strong 205. Forgive me, Kyle. I just didn't feel like it was worth being higher than Cody, even though he only put up 189 points compared to your 205. But you are getting hot, and I just want to shout you out for, proving everybody, including myself, wrong. I apologize for doubting you, and I will do my best to not do that in the future. So shout out to Kyle for sliding up to number 4. Cody, finally starting to get strong, warming up has, slowly getting stronger, getting into the playoffs. So hopefully he can hit that 200 mark next week. But stay in that third spot. Greg staying at number 2. I know that they're on such a hot streak, this, that, and the other thing. But Phil at number 1. Shout out to Phil, our season champion, 11-2, as I said. Second most points by less than 3 points. He's on a. Phil, what's your winning streak? Is that 9? You're on a 9. Hang on. Whoop. Hang on there. Let me look here. I think if I'm not mistaken, you're on a hefty win streak there. There now. You lost in week 4, so you sir are on a 9-game winning streak with the minimum points of 154 points. I'm sorry, but nobody deserves to overtake that. I know that Greg is hot as well, but they lost 4 games, obviously. Is it 4? No, 5. 5, yeah. After going 0-3, they are 8-5. Shout out to Greg. Just, stronger and stronger. Last 3 games they put up 200 points, guys. Watch it the fuck out. But they're at number 2, and then Phil's at number 1. So back to run it down 1 through 12. Phil at 1, Greg at 2, Cody 3, 4 is Kyle, 5 is Will, Scott is 6, 7 is Hobert, 8 is Liam, 9 Brandwagon, 10 Eric, 11 Dylan, and 12 Craig. That is your final power rankings of the year. I'm glad that you guys found these power rankings enjoyable. I know that my power rankings videos tend to get more views. So whoever is watching, whether you're in my league or not, I appreciate the love. I hope to have a legitimate algorithm going forward to make things a little bit more fair. And legitimate, so I'll work on that in the future. I'm sure that I will. I taught myself how to use Excel, so shout out to me. But yeah, it's been a fun season, fun regular season, and we're in playoff fantasy football, baby. I'll see you guys later. Adios, amigos.